1. Fall 1952. So then, you want a story, and I will tell you one. But just the one. Don't either of you ask me for more. It's late, and we have a long day of travel ahead of us. Buddy, you and I. You will need your sleep tonight. And you too, Abdullah. I'm counting on you, boy, while your sister and I are away. So is your mother. Now, one story then. Listen, both of you, listen well, and don't interrupt. Once upon a time, in the days when deeps and genes and giants roamed the land, there lived a farmer named Baba Ayub. He lived with his family in a little village by the name of Maidan Sabs. Because he had a large family to feed, Baba Ayub saw his days consumed by hard work. Every day he labored from dawn to sundown, plowing his field and turning the soil and tending to his meager pistachio trees. At any given moment you could spot him in his field, bent at the waist, back as curved as the scythe he swung all day. His hands were always calloused, and they often bled, and every night sleep stole him away no sooner than his cheek met the pillow. I will say that in this regard he was hardly alone. Life in Maidan Sabs was hard for all its inhabitants. There were other, more fortunate villages to the north, in the valleys with fruit trees and flowers and pleasant air and streams that ran with cold, clear water. But Maidan Sabs was a desolate place, and it didn't resemble in the slightest the image that its name, Field of Green, would have you picture. It sat in a flat, dusty plain ringed by a chain of craggy mountains. The wind was hot and blew dust in the eyes. Finding water was a daily struggle because the village wells, even the deep ones, often ran low. Yes, there was a river, but the villagers had to endure a half-day walk to reach it, and even then its water flowed muddy all year round. Now, after 10 years of drought, the river too ran shallow. Let's just say that people in Maidan Sabs worked twice as hard to eke out half the living. Still, Baba Ayub counted himself among the fortunate because he had a family that he cherished above all things. He loved his wife and never raised his voice to her, much less his hand. He valued her counsel and found genuine pleasure in her companionship. As for children, he was blessed with as many as a hand as fingers, 3 sons and 2 daughters, each of whom he loved dearly. His daughters were dutiful and kind and of good character and repute. To his sons he had taught already the value of honesty, courage, friendship, and hard work without complaint. They obeyed him as good sons must and helped their father with his crops. Though he loved all of his children, Baba Ayub privately had a unique fondness for one among them, his youngest, Kais, who was 3 years old. Kais was a little boy with dark blue eyes. He charmed anyone who met him with his devilish laughter. He was also one of those boys so bursting with energy that he drained others of theirs. When he learned to walk, he took such delight in it that he did it all day while he was awake, and then, troublingly, even at night in his sleep, he would sleepwalk out of the family's mud house and wander off into the moonlit darkness. Naturally, his parents worried. What if he fell into a well, or got lost, or, worst of all, was attacked by one of the creatures lurking the plains at night? They took stabs at many remedies, none of which worked. In the end, the solution Baba Ayub found was a simple one, as the best solutions often are. He removed a tiny bell from around the neck of one of his goats and hung it instead around Kai's neck. This way, the bell would wake someone if Caius were to rise in the middle of the night. The sleepwalking stopped after a time, but Caius grew attached to the bell and refused to part with it. And so, even though it didn't serve its original use, the bell remained fastened to the string around the boy's neck. When Baba Ayub came home after a long day's work, Caius would run from the house face first into his father's belly, the bell jingling with each of his tiniest steps. Baba Ayub would lift him up and take him into the house, and Caius would watch with great attention as his father washed up, and then he would sit beside Baba Ayub at supper time. After they had eaten, Baba Ayub would sip his tea, watching his family, picturing a day when all of his children married and gave him children of their own, when he would be proud patriarch to an even greater blood. Alas, Abdullah and Buddy, Baba Ayub's days of happiness came to an end. It happened one day that a thief came to Maidan Sab's. As it approached a village from the direction of the mountains, the earth shook with each of its footfalls. The villagers dropped their shovels and hoes and axes and scattered. They locked themselves in their homes and huddled with one another. When the deafening sounds of the thief's footsteps stopped, the skies over Maidan Sabs darkened with its shadows. It was said that curved horns sprouted from its head and that coarse back hair covered its shoulders and powerful tail. They said its eyes shone red. No one knew for sure. You understand? At least no one living. The thief ate on the spot those who dared steal so much as a single glance. Knowing this, the villagers wisely kept their eyes glued to the ground. Everyone at the village knew why the thief had come. They had heard the tales of its visits to other villages, and they could only marvel at how Maidan Sabs had managed to escape its attention for so long. Perhaps, they reasoned, these poor stringent lives that they led in Maidan Sabs had worked in their favor, as their children weren't as well fed and didn't have as much meat on their bones. Even so, their luck had run out at last.